Bryant drives on Shane Battier, who draws the foul. As Kobe looks over at Doug Collins and said, this guy cannot guard me.
Sup, dude? Sitting at 4th all-time on the NBA's scoring list with nearly 34,000 points and a career scoring average of 25 a night, we can all agree Kobe Bryant is hands down one of the greatest bucket getters in league history. What we won't all agree on is whether or not he's the greatest scorer ever. Before I get into analytics, basing my opinion solely off perception, I'd say he's the greatest scorer ever. There's nobody in the history of the NBA who's put the ball in the hoop like the Black Mamba did. A while back I made a video on J.R. Smith and I said he was probably the greatest bad shot maker in NBA history. While there is an argument for that to be true, I can honestly say my brain farted and Kobe slipped my mind. I realized this when I was watching one of his old games. It was the one on Christmas Day in 2004 against his old pal Shaq. Every shot he took looked like it was contested, but it didn't matter. The motherfucker was hitting them. I was in complete awe. The game ended up going into overtime and LA lost, but Kobe finished with 42 points on 30 shots. It was a beautiful display of tough shot making. He had performances like that on a nightly basis, and for that reason I think he deserves the title of best bad shot maker in NBA history. Sorry JR, you're a strong second. While bad shot making is impressive, it involves bad shot taking, and because of that, Kobe was given shit his whole career. Many people like to knock his scoring by saying he was inefficient, but what if I told you he actually wasn't? For his career, he finished with a true shooting percentage of 55%. True shooting takes into account free throws as well as the fact that threes are worth more. So despite his low field goal percentage in some seasons, he was an overall efficient scorer. For comparison, Allen Iverson's true shooting percentage is 51.8 and Dwayne Wade's is 55.4. I never hear anyone say D Wade's inefficient, so Kobe should be treated the same. I understand there were many games that make his stereotype seem true, but in the grand scheme of things, he was efficient. With this fact taken into consideration, his case for greatest scorer ever becomes pretty strong, especially when you factor in his many insane scoring feats, including that one time in 2006 when he averaged 43 points during the entire month of January. During that string of 13 games, he dropped 44 times, 50 twice, and 81 once. It was one of the most insane stretches of volume bucket getting in NBA history. And not only was he on one in January, but he was for that whole season, finishing with a league-leading scoring average of 35 points per game. What makes it even more impressive is he did that in a league where teams averaged under 100 points a night. Along with that, it was an efficient 35 points. His true shooting percentage was nearly 56%. With his godlike scoring, Kobe managed to carry the notoriously bad 06 Lakers to the playoffs. They didn't make it past the first round, but that's what happens when your third option is Smush Parker. It was a feat in itself getting them there. Something that makes that season even more impressive is the fact that not only was he the best scorer in the league, but he was also the best defender at his position, making the all-defensive first team. You know who else is really good at defense? Specifically defending your private information from being exposed online? The wonderful sponsor of today's video, Aura. The fact that your private information could be exposed for everyone to see on the internet is absolutely terrifying. Anyone can go on one of those creepy people finder sites, look up whoever, and find all sorts of private information, including your address. I'm always trying to stay safe, but it's hard when you have to spend hours scouring the internet, finding your information, and deleting it. That's where Aura helps. Aura scours the internet, finding all your information that's been made public, and they delete it. Not only do they do that, but they also protect you from malware and monitor your credit and phone number, making sure it's not being handed out to robocallers. I can't tell you how many spam calls I used to get, but since signing up for Aura, that number has drastically decreased. Getting all the online security features that I need with just one subscription has been so helpful. So dude, if you're concerned about your personal information being out there, Aura is definitely the app for you. Good thing they're hooking all my viewers up with a 2-week free trial. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off your private information, or you can do something about it and go to aura.com/NBA-goober to start your 2-week free trial today. Link is in the description, and big thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. A massive reason for Kobe's insane bucket getting was his ability to score anywhere in any way. His most impressive scoring ability had to be his midi. It was a work of art. I don't think there's a prettier shot in NBA history. What makes his scoring from the mid-range so impressive is a lot of it was unassisted and done in the mouth of Tough D. He was a shot-creating god using a vast array of moves to get his jumper off, including pump fakes, dribble pull-ups, and gorgeous fades. From 1996 to 2016, not a single person came close to passing his unassisted mid-range total. He made a shocking 2,775, with the runner-up being Dirk with less than 1,900. Stepping behind the three-point line, Kobe took shots just as difficult, knocking him down at a pretty average clip. One thing that would have made him a much more efficient player is if instead of taking long twos, he took a step back and shot more threes. But like with many greats back then, he didn't care about all that nerd shit. He just let that bitch fly. Along with his jump shot, he was a very talented scorer in close. Whether it be a layup, dunk, or floater, he could put it in the hole with the best of them. His dunks dunks were violent as hell and his layups were some of the sickest I've ever seen. They didn't come easy during the first few years of his career though. He couldn't get to the rim very well because of his slight lack of quickness, so he opted to take tough middies instead. The problem was he didn't quite have his jumper down pat, so he missed quite a bit. As his career progressed though, he fixed both of these problems. He became a much deadlier attacker, learning how to leave his man in the dust to get an easy lane to the rim, and as I already talked about, his midi became lethal. His vast array of scoring moves not only put points on the board, but they also brought him and the city of Los Angeles 5 championships. The only two great scorers with more are Jordan and Kareem with 6. Those two dudes, along with Wilt, LeBron, Harden, and KD, are the guys I think should be considered for the title of greatest scorer. Taking into account the analytics as well as perception though, my answer stays the same. I believe Kobe's the greatest scorer to ever play in the NBA. I think this because his name is the one that gets yelled out when shooting paper in the trash. His absurd stats and accomplishments, along with the impact he made on the world through scoring, is second to none. I think LeBron and Mike are closest to Kobe's level, but as for LeBron, he just hasn't scored with the same complexity and degree of difficulty. His athleticism has been a huge reason for his success, putting up a gaudy amount of points. That's not a bad thing, I just think Kobe scored with more skill yet still put up insane numbers. Kind of the same thing for Jordan. He was a ridiculous athlete who dominated the league in scoring for a decade, but in my eyes he didn't do it like Kobe. As for Wilt, Harden, and KD, Wilt averaged 51 seasons sure, but the dude has just 2 rings. Harden doesn't even have one, and KD got his the easy way. The greatest scorer ever should be the dude who took the toughest shots, made them, and led his team to victory. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Paul George isn't in the convo for greatest scorer ever, but that dude is smoother than a baby's bottom covered in butter. You can click here to watch the video I made on him. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye, dude.